As a belief, Mahon's said, may we be seated. As you can see, I was introduced by two people. My cousin, Yanga Chivikwa, who does not even know why I'm calling him cousin. Let it be known that I am a cousin of Major General Chaim Chivikwa. And then I am a cousin of Professor Dr. Chama Chivikwa. And then you follow. Then I was formally introduced now, or invited to come and speak, by Right Reverend Bishop Dr. Sefania Kameta, Honorable Minister of Poverty Eradication and Social Welfare of the Republic of Namibia. And Grandpa. So the only thing I remember when we met in Germany, I was a very naughty guy coming from Angola. And he had a suit and I have a leather jacket. Coming from the bush, what else would you expect? So to test him, how swabble he was and how strong he was, I said, let us take a photo, but let us change our jackets. So he put on my leather jacket. I don't know how clean it was. And I put on his cleric jacket, and we took a photo. From that moment, I believe he's able to take my bullet, and I'm ready to take his bullet. Honorable Deputy Minister, also Reverend Aino Kabuangolo, thank you very much for being here, supporting the seminar and also supporting your minister. Honorable Governor Laura MacLeod Kachirwa, Governor of the Commerce Region. She's also my daughter, and she was my deputy when we served at SWAPO headquarters. And the other governor from Oshikoto, Governor Kamboshi, I don't know how he made it to come to Commerce this morning, but that is also one of my region. You understand what I mean. Honorable members of parliament who may be here, high-level government officials, Your Excellencies, members of the diplomatic corps, if any, my good friend Heiner Naumann, resident representative of the Friedrich Ebert Stiftung, Professor Marius Olivier, you have already heard about his many titles and who shuttled between Africa and Australia. My sister, Opolang Fororo, representing ILO. My other colleague from UNAM, Professor Jairus Kangira. Leaders and representatives of trade unions, employers federation, and civil society organization. I see SG Tukna Kabihuha, and I'm sure he will be talking to you. You hear he's very good. Distinguished invited guests and participants, speakers and moderators, distinguished members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. In the first place, let me join others in welcoming you all to this conference, to Windhoek, and to those who came from outside Namibia to Namibia. Speaking at the bottom of the list of speakers is always a problem. In the first place, you are forced to repeat what others have already said, and it's not interesting. The only good thing is that after you have spoken, then people are relieved of the tyranny of the higher table, and so that everybody can talk. So after I spoke, there will be some few things, and then it become now our conference, all of us. Dr. Kameta was saying, he was expecting me to have a tie. As you know, many politicians did not sleep well today. They were watching television, following the elections in some major countries. I can't mention them. So when I woke up in the mood of, and having read and understood the material, people excluded, people included, I was in a fighting mood. I did not want to be tied, just in case there is a quarrel between me and Kabihuha. I don't have a tie, so he cannot hang me. But I was asked by one of my relatives, why don't you have why are you not dressed like you usually go to work? I say, I'm going to join other workers and to protest. So it is on process of protesting. Thank you for the foresight of hosting this conference against the backdrop of the global economic downturn, which has negatively affected many small, medium, and micro enterprises in Namibia as well as globally. I trust that as we explore the conference theme, and I quote, towards comprehensive social protection for the informal economy in Namibia, end of quote, we will be open-minded as experts, as scholars, as policymakers, and even as micro-business owners to seek pragmatic solution to address the problems emanating from the absence of social protection in the informal economy. We are mindful that the informal economy is not a mere academic discourse. It's not something you just discuss, but it is an everyday harsh reality of the thousands of Namibians who are eking out an existence in this sector, whose lives need to be substantially improved by the policy proposals coming from this conference. Director of Ceremonies, according to the United Nations report on World Social Situation 2018, and I quote, workers in informal employment, among whom young people, persons with disability, migrants. You might say, I am not a migrant, but you are here in the Commerce region. But we are not exactly born in Commerce. Women and other disadvantaged groups are overrepresented, are insufficiently covered by social protection, or not even covered at all. Employment-based contributory schemes in particular, cover mainly workers in formal employment and therefore leave a significant proportion of the labor force totally unprotected, end of quote. Also, and I'm quoting again from, I'm referring also again to the World Social Situation Report of 2018, state that workers whose jobs are not subject to national labor legislation, taxation, and social protection are employed in the informal sector, but some are employed even in formal enterprises, but at lower level. Some are employers themselves, they employ themselves, while others are self-employed or work as unpaid family members in our houses, on our farms, and in our businesses. We don't even pay them. They are relatives of ours, they are friends of ours. We don't even pay them because they are in the informal sector. And they work even without a contract. So that when you want to chuck them out, you just chuck them out. There is no contract. I'm glad the representative of the ILO, International Labour Organization, is here. ILO's World Social Protection Report 2017-2019 reveals that about half the global workforce is in informal employment. Majority of these people lack social protection coverage due to a variety of factors, including exclusion from legal coverage, low and volatile earnings, and complex administrative procedures. Also, workers in the informal economy are often excluded from programs targeting poor or low-paid individuals and households. This leaves many informal workers, many of them women, without effective coverage. Many instruments, such as the UN's Sustainable Development Goals under Target 8, decent work and economic growth, the ILO's Recommendation 202 of 2012 and 204 of 2015 all affirm the need for extending social protection to workers to unleash the productive potential of the informal economy and to hasten its transition to the formal economy. There seems to be the idea, as Bishop has said, that those who are in the informal economy somehow are happy to be there. Let them just stay there. They're happy to be there. They don't need to move up. There is no such a thing in life. Everybody wants to improve their own condition and the condition of their families. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, locally, the Namibian Information Economic Case Study Report 2016-17. Now, the Namibian Informal Economy Case Study Report. I should not give it a new name. 2016-2017. Commissioned by the Labor Resource and Research Institute, LARI, concluded that similar to peer African countries, Namibia also faces many key developmental challenges, such as lack of decent and secure jobs and lack or insufficient social protection for workers. It further stated that employment created in the informal economy sector is reported to be mostly exploitative and insecure. Another Namibian study in 2017, I quote, baseline study on the promotion of social protection for the informal economy and vulnerable workers in Namibia, end of quote, commissioned by Tupna. Tupna chief is here, and first, Frederick Ebert Stiftung, their representatives are here, concluded that discussions of extending social protection to the informal economy have not featured prominently over the years in the policy space of our country and other countries as well. While we have an extensive social protection system, which is considered as one of the best in Southern Africa, the government is aware that social protection coverage of workers and operators in the informal economy, due to its recorded complexity, is limited. Therefore, platforms such as this one is much welcome for us as government, for us as labor, for trade union, for us in private sector, and it should also be so for us as development partners to collectively seek solutions to the problem facing the informal economic sector. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, to address the problems of social protection exclusion in the informal economy, we need to understand the fundamental drivers of social exclusion on a broader scale, which in the case of Namibia and Southern Africa are rooted in the historic, political and economic exclusion of the majority of the citizens by the preceding colonial and apartheid administrations. The structural foundation of exclusion of the majority of our people from all opportunities under the sun during the colonial era is today a real legacy, a standing legacy, a shouting legacy, or an aftermath, playing a strong reinforcing role in the sense that the formerly disposed or dispossessed people do not have assets currently on which base they could gain financial credit and transition from the informal to the formal economy. Most of their little informal businesses or business effort are characterized by daily struggle for from hand. Whatever they earn, they use it from hand to mouth for the purpose of survival. Moreover, there seem to be negligible or zero deeper level appreciation of the impact of these historic fundamental drivers of social economic exclusion and perpetuation, not only on the informal sector, but also on those previously disadvantaged Namibians who entered and failed in the informal sector. You may try to enter, but if you don't have the preparation, if you don't have the resources, if you don't have the support, you are going to fail in the informal sector. The presence of a deeper level of understanding of the countless obstacles facing such entrepreneurs in the form of lack of sufficient financial credit, no money, deeper supply sources, you have cheaper supply sources, can't get things at reasonable prices, you don't have business linkages to other people. When you enter there, they look at your face and they already know you don't have the money. A formidable array of administrative and financial accounting, compliances, requirements, barriers. We hit you with the rules and you don't understand the rules, so you cannot jump over those rules. The space to rent are scarce and expensive. All these are problems. And prohibitively expensive commercial space, which I mentioned already, would mean that we as a government and society as an entrance to the formal economy. Otherwise, the majority, perhaps even 90% of them, will continue to fail or stagnate within the informal economy. The national economic inequality status quo will be maintained. I don't want to use political words until Jesus comes, but that will not be the case. But it will be maintained for a long, long time to come, which we do not wish to happen. If such are the formidable challenges facing the previously disadvantaged Namibian who happen to have entered the formal economy, how much more prohibitive is it then for those in the informal economy to transmit towards the formal economy? Not least to offer social protection to the employees. For us to succeed in our goal to uplift the previously disadvantaged Namibians, both in the informal and the formal economy, as part of the overall objectives of the economic emancipation of the second national struggle, as we call it, a groundbreaking change or a fundamental structural deconstruction in terms of our laws, implementing institution, and conceptual understanding is therefore seriously needed. A case in point is the recent incident where the Windhoek City Police efficiently implemented the old 1960 or 1970 municipal bylaws and statutes stating that no one should sell in public without a license. A license which those selling in the informal market seemingly are unable to access by virtue of their inability to have money to get it. Therefore, in pursuance of law and order, the police went, confiscated the goods, locked some vendors up, and eventually charged the prescribed heavy fines for these quote-unquote trespassers to be released. First, you don't have the license because you don't have money. You try your best, you get in trouble with the law. You get in trouble with law, the law demands that you pay. To pay with what? So we are making mockery of ourselves and of our own understanding. We need to frankly ask ourselves, therefore, whether we are aware that these bylaws and other laws which we have inherited are the ones reinforcing an exclusivist and anti-economic empowerment mentality among our bureaucrats in government. Is that the case? To which extent are these and other laws and practices which we accepted as the normal way of things, perpetuating the poverty and the economic exclusion of our people? Are such practices not against the grain of the spirit and letter, or letter and spirit, of our manifest national aspiration of economic emancipation for all our citizens? That is a question. We need to interrogate these things and change them. so that our bureaucrats, I'm a former bureaucrat, I should not talk too much about the bureaucrats. I'm a former civil servant. Our institutions, local authority, regional, national, and our policy are all in line and in synergy with the Harambee strategic direction toward the objectives of economic inclusion and upliftment of all our citizens. I told you, the last speaker always has to speak a little bit longer than others, otherwise they will not invite you next time. Now I think I have done what you invite me to do. With this, for a politician, few remarks. May I, in conclusion, extend a special word of thanks to the eminent local and international speakers, Frederick Ebert Stiftung, UNAM, SAPEN, and the Ministry of Poverty Eradication and Social Welfare, and to all of you, all of us as conference participants. I trust that you will engage in fruitful discussions over the next 2 days in an effort to ensure that this conference bears meaningful outcomes for the benefit of all our people. I now have the honor to declare the conference, and I quote, Conference on Social Protection for the Informal Economy in Namibia, and the quote, officially open. And I thank you for your patience.